Hey everybody, welcome to Torah Time with VaYechi. I'm Jamieson Bryant, and today we're going to be talking about the Torah portion called VaYechi. VaYechi meaning, and he lived. Now, the Torah portion goes from Genesis 47:28 to Genesis 50, verse 26. The Haftarah portion goes from 1 Kings 2, verse 1, all the way to verse 12, and the New Testament portion goes from 1 Peter 1, 3 all the way till verse 9. Okay, so what I want to talk about today is we're going to do an overview of the 12 tribes. A lot of people may know kind of a little bit about the tribes, maybe know a couple of their names. Most people don't know what the names mean or anything like that. I'm going to save that for another time. But what I really want to talk about today are the characteristics of those 12 tribes. Okay, and what we can gain from this is basically, if you are able to look into these different tribes, look into their characteristics and see how they resemble you, how they don't resemble you, what they make you think of as far as their characteristics, and that can be something that's actually a very valuable way of learning the scriptures, okay? If you internalize something and make it kind of a part of your experience, then you'll know things much, much better. You'll be able to use things much better as well. So, first of all, that's first of all. Second of all, I want to talk about how the tribes can actually help us to pay attention to ourselves, pay attention to our characteristics, look into ourselves and see what we need to fix, what needs repair, what needs God's Spirit to breathe on us and help raise us to a higher level. We can learn from the tribes and the patriarchs and everything like that. And it becomes also not just a valuable method of study, but a valuable method of introspection and personal growth. Okay, so without any further ado, what I want to do is we'll start at the top. We'll start with Reuben, and his characteristics are the following: strong-minded and strong-willed, someone who is powerful and excelling in strength, someone who is turbulent in emotion, quick and fiery in anger, someone who's determined to get their own way. Moving on to the next one, we have Simeon. Simeon is not very famous in the scriptures. He doesn't have a lot of good things said about him. But these are some of the things that are said of Simeon. Simeon is volatile, quick to anger, and fierce. He's someone who does something first and thinks afterwards. Next in the list, we have Levi. Levi, this tribe were wanderers who are scattered and don't have a lot of material possessions. Especially this applies to those who become spiritual leaders by God's grace, by His choice, and they're supported by others with more materialistic jobs. The next one on the list is Judah. Judah is said to be able to command the respect of others. He's said to be a born leader, a strong defender, a good organizer. Those who are of Judah were supposed to be good entrepreneurs, able to make wealth out of little. They were stubborn and obstinate, but this turned to be a good thing because they wouldn't give up. The next tribe is Zebulun. Zebulun has a strong connection with the sea and with the waters. He's good at trade and with commerce, with all kinds of people. He's a born salesman. He's good at dealing with outsiders, including non-Israelites. Next on the list is Issachar. Issachar is hardworking. He's down to earth. He has good business sense. He can make much out of his own hard work. At the same time, he's scholarly, academic. He's a good student of the Torah. He's persuasive in arguments and eager to make converts. As a side note, these were also known, the people of Issachar were known as astronomers later on in the scriptures. The next on the list is Dan. Dan was said to have a strong sense of justice and fairness because his name means judgment. He has a suspicious nature. Mostly the people who came from Dan were artists and craftsmen. There were some heroes, such as the most famous would be Samson. At times they were restless and insecure. and prone to idolatry. Gad is known as someone who is cunning, resourceful, and a strong defender. He was warlike and strong, and yet loyal and courageous. Gad had a strong sense of justice. He was known to be a cattle breeder. They were known to be aloof at times. And in keeping with their name, which means good fortune, they were some people who enjoyed actually unusually good fortune and rich blessings from God. Next on the list is Asher. Asher, they were known as the cooks. They loved food, they loved cooking, they were very social. They liked the good things of life, but they still provided for others. They were virtuous people with single-mindedness that enabled them to strive for the general good. They were generally happy, they were generally good-natured, and they had all these dispositions that enabled them to be good fellowshippers, people who could bring the energy of others up. Next would be Naphtali. Naphtali, they were good orators, they were writers, they were poets, they were teachers, they were swift of mind, swift of body. They valued nature, they loved natural beauty that was around them. They also endured much hardship. Something else that was said to be normal of them was they studied even under difficult conditions in order to acquire knowledge. Next on the list is Ephraim. Ephraim was said to be strong like an ox. He was fruitful in keeping with his name, which means fruitful. He was influential. He's a good soldier, a warrior, modest and not selfish, able to become so powerful that he would overcome overwhelming odds. He could make the most out of a little bit, and he was jealous and defensive of a position once gained, impulsive at times. His brother Manasseh was a strong, silent type. They were good farmers, they were good at languages, they were blessed with good fortune, they were full of courage and valor. As a side note, Ephraim and Manasseh were actually, of course, adopted by Jacob into his family and became part of Israel because they were sons of Joseph, even though they were also sons of the daughter of an Egyptian. Now, last of all but not least, we have Benjamin. Benjamin was the little brother type, someone that everyone wants to protect. But he's also someone who gained strength from needing others, thereby binding them together. He was said to be pugnacious in nature, a strong defender, and later on in the scriptures they are said to be good archers and good slingshotmen. Benjamin was someone whose strength was often very much underestimated. One famous man who brings Benjamin to mind was the great apostle who came out of Benjamin, whose name was Paul of Tarsus. So I hope you've had a few chances to look into these tribes, to be able to see where you or others may fit in, and can apply these things to yourself, to your life, and maybe this also gave you a little look at your own character. Maybe you saw something that resonated with you. What I want you to do for your homework is to look through this list again, maybe listen again, and see which tribe applies to you, which tribe most resonates with you, and why. Okay? And other than that, that is the amount that I have for this Torah portion. I would like you to do that homework, and you could do this by posting below. You could do it in your own notebook. I don't care. But the important thing is that we look into it, do the work, and see what Yahweh has for us to grow from. Thank you for coming and looking at Torah Time with VaYechi. This is Jamieson. I hope you have a good week. Shalom.